Hi everyone, this is Joseph from English with Joseph, and it's very nice to be here with you again this evening. First of all, I would like to say thank you to Artem. Artem, your suggestion of using our website for audio boom for doing podcasts might just work. I haven't looked at it yet. I'm going to wait until I see Avi the next time. Avi's the little man from the last video last week. He's very good with technology, so I'm going to ask his opinion and see what he thinks about that. I haven't looked at it, but I'm very grateful to you for giving me that advice, so thank you very much. Thank you also for the other people who've written to me with comments about these vodcasts and podcasts. It's good to have your encouragement, because without your encouragement and your participation, they simply couldn't go ahead. Okay, so thank you for that. And some of them do make me smile rather a lot. There's been a few comments which, unfortunately, because of decency, I can't repeat. But most comments have been constructive, including Artem and the other gentleman from Bulgaria that I've mentioned. Oh, I'm assuming it's a man. It could be a woman. Sorry about that. Okay, so today I want to talk about a few things. First of all, as always, I want to talk about my teaching practice. And today I had a Russian student, and we were going over the conditional tenses. And I have a terrible habit to get personally involved with people and maybe pick up on things that they like to talk about, or maybe politically incorrect things. And today in this Russian class, I was helping this young man with his conditional tenses. So of course, as you know, conditional tenses, there's 4 of them, are formed with the word if. For example, if I spoke Italian, I would be living in Italy. But because this young man was Russian, I made it a bit more exciting. So I asked him, okay, if President Putin died today, the people would do what? Would they rebel and cause rebellion? Would they happily have a transition into some European Union style state? What would happen? And we had such a beautiful discussion about that, really. So I think that's the first time I've ever taught the conditional tenses with the question, if President Putin died today, naturally, of course, I don't mean any kind of assassination or anything like that, what would happen? There's a few ways you can answer that question. Now, let me just quickly explain the conditionals. As you might know, there's 4 conditional tenses. Is it 4 or is it 5? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Actually, it's 5. Okay. So the first one is a 0 conditional, where you have the present tense and the present tense. For example, if you heat ice, it melts. So in this case, President Putin dies, people rebel. Okay. President Putin dies, people get upset. So you have the present tense on one side and the present tense on the other. The next conditional is the first conditional, which is the probability of something happening. So if this thing happens, that thing will happen. So if President Putin dies, this other thing will happen. For example, people will rebel, because it's almost like a certainty, even though it's unreal. The second condition, if President Putin died, okay, the first one, remember, President Putin dies, people rebel. The second one, President Putin dies, people will rebel. Okay, I'm not sure if I made that clear, if I said it correctly, but that's the way it is. So the first one, which is a 0 conditional, you have present tense, present tense. First conditional, present tense, future tense. President Putin dies, the people will rebel. The third one, if President Putin died, there would be a rebellion. Okay, so that's the type 2 conditional. So 0 present present, first present future, Second, past, present conditional. Okay, that's where the would be comes in. Yeah. For example, if I spoke Italian, past, I would live in Italy. Or I would be living in Italy. That's the present conditional, would or would be. Okay. Let me just quickly go through these again because it's quite confusing to hear these. Type 0. President Putin dies, people rebel. Type 1. If President Putin dies, people will rebel. Type 2. If President Putin died, people would rebel or would be rebelling. Type 3 is with the past perfect. If President Putin had died, people would have been mourning or would have mourned, or people would rebel or would have rebelled. Okay? And then the mixed type gives you the freedom to choose from the first part of the second to the last part of the third, or the first part of the third to the last part of the second. And the reason why is because it's about something that happened that affects the present. For example, if we had looked at the map, type 3, we wouldn't be lost now, type 2. Okay? And it's for talking about things which are now true. Okay? So anyway, this was today's lesson about the conditional. I did think it was very amusing that President Putin featured so heavily in this. And the lesson ended very nicely with me explaining about British royals. And I don't know if you know this, but our royal families in Europe are all related. All of the royal families within Europe are cousins of each other. They're all cousins of each other because of Queen Victoria. Queen Victoria, they called her the grandmother of Europe. All of her children married the royals of other places. It's very interesting indeed if you like history. Even the King of Sweden, he's a cousin of our Queen. And then you have the King of the Netherlands. She's also related, I think, through the same way. The King of Spain, very same. His wife is also related, a full cousin of the Queen's husband. This is why they all look like horses. They all have those big teeth, you know. By the way, in case you're wondering why I'm wearing two headsets, is because this one belongs to my computer, so I don't need this one, I can take it off. Okay, some other news for you. Next week, I will be in England at Hampton Court Palace. I'll be in London, so I'll give you a little guided tour of Hampton Court Palace. It'll be fun. But I'll try and continue doing these daily vodcasts. I think they're helpful, and I would like to make them a bit more humorous and with some more guests as well. So there could be more people popping up while we're doing these. Okay. What else have I been doing recently? Well, I've been working hard on my Amazon books. I have a lot of Amazon books, as you know. One of them, finally, as well as being on Kindle, is going to be sold as a hard copy. And that's my list of phrasal verbs. It's called The Big Book of Phrasal Verbs, and you can find it on Amazon. Okay, so you have the choice of buying the Kindle version or the Amazon version, the paper version. If you buy the paper version, you get the Amazon version for a ridiculously low price, like 60 cents or something like this. Okay, just to let you know, phrasal verbs are one of the most difficult things to grasp in English. There's no doubt that they are very difficult. They are very difficult. Well, in other news today, as you know, I love my show business news. Everyone's still talking about the death of David Bowie. I don't know why. I hardly knew this man. I couldn't even name you one song. And of course, the conspiracy theories are starting now that he's not really dead. Who cares? I don't. What else can I tell you about the news of today? I don't think there's much else. I was quite alarmed. I was watching CBS television this morning and they were discussing immigration and Islam. I don't understand the American press. They seem rather obsessed with morality and religion, and they're looking to it to guide them in politics. And that's very strange for me, because here in Europe, especially in Western Europe, we have completely separated church from state. So church does not, cannot, and will not have any direct influence on people's lives. But in America, it seems to be very important, and I don't really know why. I mean, does it really matter that Ben Carson is a Seventh-day Adventist, or Donald Trump wants to expel all Muslims from America? Well, that one is a bit strange, I have to say. I don't really understand that. But I don't know. It's just strange for me to hear these things. If you want to hear some really funny journalism from the old days, on the BBC website there's an audio archive of Letter from America by Alistair Cook. Alistair Cook was a British journalist, and he lived in America. He immigrated there during the war, and ever since then he's been sending back a letter from America, an audio letter, which is broadcast on Radio 4, or was broadcast on Radio 4 up until he died around 10 years ago. But the hilarious thing about them is the way he talks about American people, because he uses irony, and irony is a kind of humour which is bordering on sarcastic, and I think is lost on a lot of Americans. I don't think they quite get what he's saying. I was listening to one of his audio broadcasts the other day, and he was saying something like, these Americans are considering using some kind of system for electing their president, and they seem to think that they can match our monarch system. And he chuckled. And he talks about them as if they're savages or very stupid people. And to be honest, I don't think he's wrong. Some of the things we see in the American press don't convince me that they're particularly intelligent. One thing that I really don't like about them is this psychology, this inner child that they always promote. But you have to look after the inner child. For goodness sake, just get on with your life. It's what we all have to do. We can't stop and think about inner children and making sure our inner being is well. We have to work, we have to live. So this is very funny for me. So do check out Alistair Cook's Letter from America. If you put that into Google, you'll definitely find him. It's a very amusing character. Okay, well, tomorrow, Avi and I, hopefully in the evening time, Barcelona time, will be doing another little vodcast, so I'll let you know how that goes. And I'll also be looking at the possibility of doing a podcast. I don't know whether to do vodcasts and podcasts. I don't even know how this is going to work, so please bear with me while I work out some strategy. But in the meantime, please do continue to visit my Daily Emotion site, like my website page, promote me on Twitter. I need your help to get this up and running, because I'd like to expand a little bit more and focus on some grammatical points, and just to have some general conversation like I am now, So I think that's about all for today. I don't think there's much else I can say, but I just want to tell you how much I enjoy doing these. I'm not always in the best mood in the mornings, I have to say, to do these. I got up this morning and went looking for breakfast, and making these recordings was the last thing in my mind. And before I knew where I was working. I usually start work at 10, sometimes at 8. So it was very funny for me to be up this morning. I took one look at the computer and I said, there's no way, these people will have to wait. But here I am. Okay, so we can have some fun tomorrow with Avi, and he's hilarious. He always has some ridiculous thing to talk about. Anyway, that's all for today. Thank you for your continued support, and we'll see you soon. Bye-bye.